Good evening, Simon here, Explosive Action. I'm back with another metal update. We're taking a look at 9 original pressing 80s heavy metal and thrash metal albums, so let's get cracking. And in the background we are rocking out to Armored Angel, Angel of the Sixth Order, the only full length from this Australian death metal, death thrash band. Kind of just Australian death metal, we have a flavour. And yeah, they're only full length, plenty of EPs and demos before this. I've talked about them before, fantastic band. This is the Warhead Records press, came out in 97 I think it was. So yeah, awesome stuff. The first 2 records we're looking at are from the same band, that is Hellstar. This is Remnants of War, Texan band from 1982, still active today, though I haven't heard any of their recent stuff. US power metal, speed metal, just balls out heavy metal. That's what you get here with Hellstar. This is from 1986. This is their second album after Burning Star, which I think was 1985, I think, from memory. It's definitely heavier than the debut. The debut is good. It's just not as heavy as the follow-up albums. Still finding their feet, I think. It's got more chug in the riffs. It's got more Agent Steel speed going on. Really, that's the kind of thing that I noticed. As the back, it starts with a cheesy synth intro because it's mid '80s. Some crushing sort of doom riff that kicks in, and then it's into sort of peppy melody, driving drums, clean vocals in the mid range, some high belts. Sometimes reminds me of Heathen a little bit, but these guys, I'm pretty sure, predated Heathen by quite a bit. The third track, Conquest, on this one, has sort of a mid-paced thrash riff at its base, just quite different to the rest of the songs on here. Like they're a bit more US power metal, speed metal. That's got quite a thrashy chug riff, which I thought was really quite good. The fifth track, Destroyer, deeply rooted in Judas Priest. Absolutely, you can tell the similarities there. The last track, Angel of Death, not a Slayer song, but it is an epic metal song with keyboards and chanting. And yeah, it's a really good album. Originally wasn't going to get any more Hellstar because I have the first album and I thought, yeah, it's pretty good. Not on a mission, but then when I heard this one, I'm like, okay, this is a step up from the debut. I will see what else I can get. Nothing too exciting. It's just a Noise Records sleeve. So yeah, it's a Noise Records press. Nothing much inside, I think. The sleeve has got a split, but I paid very little for this thing. Yeah, a little bit of glue down the bottom. Fix that one up. So there you go. Hellstar, Remnants of War. Following that with Nosferatu. This is the 4th album, and generally considered by most people to be the best. Love the cover art on that one. Got the old vampire with his big fingernails. Classic stuff. Yeah, it opens with like a small acoustic intro, and then it goes into this track, Baptized in Blood. Churning speed metal riff. There's a bit of a hint of prog in this album. I think that's probably why this one is thought of more fondly than all the other albums. It's just more refined. They've worked out more what they're doing here. By the 4th album, you'd hope they would have. It's just a bit more musical, if that makes sense. The songs have intro quotes from the 1979 Dracula film. Every other song's got like a little soundbite from the movie, which is a bit of fun. Lots of neoclassical noodling. There's even a 4-minute instrumental. I think that was the Perseverance and Desperation. I think that was the instrumental. So yeah, it is their best out of the ones I've got. What I do need is the 3rd album, A Distant Thunder. That's the one I don't have. So once I get that, I've got the ones I want, and then it's into 90s Hellstar, and I'm just can't be bothered. Again, nothing too exciting. This one's just a plain sleeve. And yeah, Road Racer press. Very unexciting. And not too much inside. Absolutely nothing inside. So yeah, Hellstar. I'm glad to get these too, and I got them for a really good price, so definitely can't argue with that. Hellstar. Next up, I've got some ripping thrash from 1985 Australian band. This is Addictive with Pity of Man. Soak in that wonderful artwork. I love it. It's fantastic. But anyway, these guys have clearly listened to Slayer, and even more so, they've listened to Dark Angel, heaps of Ride the Lightning. I mean, it's pretty obvious. It's 1989 Australian thrash, Sydney band, I think, as well. It's mostly fast and then faster, which I really appreciate. It's quite a fast album. Some really nice dual guitar work. If you've heard all the 80s thrash there is, and you've missed Addictive, then I think definitely get on it. Definitely a well, it was kind of a one and done. I mean, there's a second album I'll talk about in a second, but really, this is the album to go looking for. Yeah, this is the press on Survival, the Australian. Yeah, distributed by CBS Records Australia, marketed by Survival Music, and it has a Surrey Hills address. And that just makes me a little bit sad, because there's no such thing as an Australian record label like this anymore. It doesn't exist. Anyway, Addictive, Pity of Man. They toured a lot, from what I understand, with Mortal Sin, classic Sydney thrash band, one of the biggest thrash metal bands to come out of this country. And the members of the band into the 90s even moved into Mortal Sin when Mortal Sin decided to keep going. So, it's all kind of, associated. Yeah, that was the drummer, I think. He moved into a short-lived but very popular Australian hard rock band called Henry's Anger. In like 1999, you couldn't turn the radio on without ever hearing Henry's Anger. So, yeah, the drummer here went into that. Matt, I guess that's who it was. And yeah, they did follow this up in 1993 with another album. It's called Kick 'Em Hard, which is pretty quite late for thrash, 1993. I mean, by that point, it was sort of death metal or die at this point, or black metal, either way. But thrash, not so much. But they put out their second album, 1993. It is not that great. I don't have it. I've listened to it. The production's terrible. The cover art looks like an Ugly Kid Joe album. Doesn't help it. But anyway, speaking of terrible covers, not this. I think this is actually a fantastic cover. It's just, it's got a robot. It's got he's catching bugs in an hourglass. There's a wolf's head down there. There's a little girl with some crystal balls, and I don't know what the hell's going on. Doesn't matter. She's pitying man or something. Whatever, fantastic artwork. But the reissues of this, everything after this LP, has got this god-awful generic, just got a boring logo for the, font for the logo. It's got I don't know, I suppose it's supposed to be something like a photorealistic version of this head. I don't know. It just looks lame. Do not approve. This is what you want to get. You want to get this original one. Looks like it was done by some kid in year 10 with his paints. That's the one you want to get. So anyway, yeah, Addictive. There's the inner sleeve. Got thanks list. There's the guys. That looks like it was taken at their school. Amazing. Lyrics. So yeah, not too much in the black LP department, I don't think. Yeah, just on Survival. Definitely worth your time. Like I said, if you've tried all the 80s thrash and you've exhausted that list. Here I am trying to re-sleeve on camera. You've exhausted that list, then check out Addictive, Pity of Man. Awesome stuff. Next one I'm going to take a look at is Tension with Breaking Point. US band, only album they ever did, 1986. Before that they were known as Deuce. Pretty terrible name. I think Tension's a better name. And they only did a few demos under that name, Deuce, and then they changed the name to Tension. Apparently they worked out there was another band called Deuce and who trademarked that name. Out of all the names in the world, Deuce. Anyway, so thankfully they changed the name to Tension. It opens really strong, real fast, heavy metal riff, wailing solo, really clear bass, dynamic drums. There's a lot going on there. Has a really good snare sound, and the dude actually does I know nothing about instruments, but he does the lifting and closing of the hi-hat which is something you just don't hear that much anymore. It was a very 70s and 80s thing, early 80s kind of thing, and yeah, appreciated it. Gave it just that extra level of dynamics. I think it's really good fun. Iron Maiden style vocals, hitting the higher notes really clearly. Turns out that the first song is actually a cover of a 1983 band. The song is called One Nation. The band is called Hawaii, and they got one song on their album called One Nation Underground. So it's very strange for your debut album to open with a cover song from a metal band from Hawaii that only wrote and released their song 2 years before. Not sure what the story is there, but anyway, it's a fantastic rendition. It's a great song. And it's just made me want to go and find the Hawaii album now, which seems very, very hard to do. Anyway, so yeah. The track Wrecking Crew, after that cover song, has a real chug riff, really good gallop to it, and it has the gang chants in the chorus, sort of like thrash bands went on to do. But really, this is sort of like Exciter. Exciter is sort of my reference point for this. The third track, Reach for Your Sword, that one though, that is just thrash. They obviously said, no, for this one we're going to just double down. The vocals are supplemented with like an evil snarl. Just sort of reminds me a little bit of Merciful Fate when he's down in the depths a bit. Not when he's up there, but when he's down there. And then the rest of the album isn't to that extreme. It's sort of back to the speed metal, US power metal kind of thing. It's got some fantastic lyrics in that song though. Here we go. Out on the streets, who shall I grasp for my collection? So many poses to choose from, I'll take them all. That's a great line. So many poses. It ends with a power ballad on side A, Angels from the Past, I think. Yeah. It doesn't get teary, and it has some balls, so it's like there's actually power in that ballad, you know. So yeah, that's definitely worth, not skipping, as I often do when it comes to power ballads. Side B opens with a slower track. There's WOC. It's kind of doomy, a bit Sabbathy, in that chuggy, slow riffs. But then the second track, Shock Treatment, goes into sort of Maiden territory. The third track, Downfall of Evil, is sort of back to the Exciter speed metal again, and it's just a varied album of mid-80s heavy metal, really. That's what you're getting here. It's tension with breaking point. It would have been nice to hear a follow-up. This is all they did. It's all she wrote, and especially if it was in the thrashier style, that Reach for Your Sword song, I would have loved to hear what they would have done if they stuck with that sound. So anyway, they did reunite for some shows in 2011, and did some kind of like history of the band DVD. I'm not sure why that happened, but anyway, there's the inner sleeve, tension, breaking point, and Rip Deuce on the back. They really put the old band name to rest, and just a black LP, nothing too exciting there. So anyway, yeah, tension, breaking point. I know I've talked a bit about it. You can see Deuce there on the hand, actually. Very interesting. 25 Years in the Underground is what the name of that DVD was, and for a band that only did one album, a bunch of demos and stuff like that. Really good stuff. Definitely check it out. Breaking Point by Tension. Next up, we've got some classic new wave of British heavy metal. This is best named band ever, Satan. This is Suspended Sentence, an album that is not really. It's almost forgotten about this one in their discography. I never hear anyone talking about Suspended Sentence, the second album. Comes 4 years after the classic Caught in the Act, which everybody, rightfully so, heralded it as just one of the high points of that new wave of British heavy metal. It's an absolute classic for a reason. And this one, to be honest, I never even saw this cover until I sort of just showed up on my Discogs listings. I went, oh, I thought they only did the first one album and then they changed their names. No, there's a second album, Suspended Sentence. It's got a different vocalist, and I had to double take. Satan R, and the vocalist is Michael Jackson. No, not that guy. He's not involved. But yeah, Michael Jackson, the vocalist for Satan. Brilliant. He's got more grit than Brian Ross, who was the singer on Caught in the Act, and also the singer on everything they've done since they've come back. It's heavier by far than the debut. You can hear the sound that the band were trying for when they started to change their name. So after this album, they changed their name to Pariah and started to do they did 2 thrash albums. Michael Jackson joined them. The current lineup of Satan, including him, went to do Pariah for a couple of albums. Then they called it a day, and then, well, we got Life Sentence. Was it 2013, I think, is when they came back and did that one. And yeah, that did not have Michael Jackson in. They went back to the vocalist from Caught in the Act. But it's by no means thrash. Don't get me wrong. It's not Pariah level, but it is heavier than Caught in the Act. It's heavier than these guys changed their names twice. After Caught in the Act, they changed the name from Satan to Blind Fury. They went off and did an album as Blind Fury. That sounds more like Caught in the Act than it does Suspended Sentence. This is, yeah, definitely the album with the most balls in the 80s period anyway for Satan and the various incarnations. Yeah, solid stuff. And I find it interesting that this was Suspended Sentence, the last Satan album in this era, and they came back and it was Life Sentence. So I wonder if that was intentional in some way, like the band was suspended and now they're back to life. I don't know. Am I reading into it too much? Cool artwork there on the back. It's a Steam Hammer press. And yeah, you get the old metal collage. I love it when they do this. Lyrics on the other side. And yeah, just unexciting black on Steam Hammer. So really good. I really enjoyed it. Absolutely really enjoyed this album. It is yeah, different as I said to the first album, just heavier, and yeah, it's a good one in the discography. So if you've somehow missed it like I did, definitely check it out. Satan with Suspended Sentence. Next one's a German heavy metal band, 1986, Gravedigger with War Games. Love the artwork on this one. So much fun. You got the black glove with the studs everywhere, and these very mid-80s scared Cold War kind of army guys all around their computer, all looking incredibly frightened. I think it's great artwork. It's good fun. The band are better known, I think, from their 90s and onwards stuff, being a standard Nuclear Blast style power metal band. But in the 80s, they were just plain old heavy metal band. And on this one, War Games, they heavied it up, particularly in the production. It's actually got a real big, thick sound to it, very satisfying. And it's speedier and thrashier in some parts as well. Thrash is overselling it a bit, but it is speedier, I think, than what I was expecting, for sure. Similar to the first Running Wild album, great comparison, also being German. To some level, Painkiller, Judas Priest, I think, as well. The vocalist, Chris Bolton-Dahl, I think I'm saying it right. He actually reminds me of Dee Snider from Twisted Sister when he does his gritty sing-shout vocals. And it works really well. There's the guys on the back. What? Oh, man. What do we got here? Yeah, there's Chris with the lippy. Very, yeah. And this guy here, he's just strobing with the camera lights, I think, with the checkers and the stripes. Wow. Just wow. 80s Germany, man. Fire in Your Eyes is a real standout. The third track on this one has a real sing-along chorus. It was actually a bit of a thing with this album. It's a sing-along chorus metal album. Every chorus has got an anthemic chorus. Every song's got an anthemic chorus, which is good fun. It's a good fun album. But as is standard at the time, and I know I talked about it on a previous album in this video, this one does have a power ballad on the end of side 1. Love is Breaking My Heart. Yeah, kind of broke my heart too. Not a good track. That one is thankfully at the end of side 1, so just skip past that one. Not good. No, that one hasn't stood the test of time, I'm afraid. Not for me anyway. But then side 2, you go to Paradise, which is a little rocking number, and then this one, Enola Gay, Drop the Bomb. That's got that power metal double kick just through the entire song, and that's where the band really ended up. 90s onwards, just power metal double kick. Love all these sort of computer graphic things down the bottom here. Very 1986. Awesome. Yeah, the Fallout track there on side B. It's got a real nice driving bass line. But yeah, really this is just a good solid heavy metal album, however you want to look at it. It's just a solid heavy metal album. I'm not that interested in checking out their stuff after this. I think it was this album that then they took a break and then came back. I'm pretty sure this is that album. And then from the 90s onwards, it's an album every other year, and it's every time you look at the covers, it's like this, photoshopped an inch of its life, dragons and embossed logo and stuff, and very power metal. Not for me, but this one's for me. Good stuff. Gravedigger with War Games, 1986. Top quality German heavy metal. A little less heavy than the Gravedigger, we're going to Sweden, 1983. This is Axwitch, Lord of the Flies. It's Swedish, like I said, but it is at least a parallel to the new wave British heavy metal style. So it's obviously not thrash or anything, and it's obviously not British, but there's a lot of Warlord in this. Definitely very very melodic. It's just not as refined as what Warlord did on their debut. Not by any means. Rough and ready, I think, is what you're getting here in that kind of heavy metal. Mid-tempo, melodic, very melodic. Early days of the genre. It's 1983 here. Lots of mid-pace double kick, which is nice. Guitars have this very interesting thin distortion. I don't think I've actually heard many bands that sound like this. Maybe it was. I'm only really digging my toes in a little bit in the water in this very early sort of 1983 kind of era of heavy metal. Not something I'm hugely familiar with. Maybe there's more bands that have this kind of guitar tone, but it's very thin. I saw it on one review written as greasy, a greasy guitar tone. That was an interesting description. But yeah, you can really hear it. There's an instrumental on here called Let the Strings Cry Out, and by golly do they cry out. It's it sort of fights with the production a bit, that guitar tone. I do like it. It's just unusual. The side A closer, Sinner, has got a throbbing pulse to it. It's probably the heaviest track on here. It's got some cheesy lyrics. High Power, the third track, has one line in it. Me and the boys will show you our toys. Oh yeah. So that's a little bit cringe, but I can forgive them for that because it's just a lot of fun. This thing is just a lot of fun. 1983 heavy metal from Sweden. Nice yellow in the sleeve there with the band, trying to look very demonic. Very cool. Except for that guy, he's got those same zebra pants from Gravedigger guy. Maybe they borrowed pants. He does have a little axe though. Look at that, same thing on each side. And take a look inside. This is the 80s. Everything's black. It's always black on Fingerprint Records. So there you go. Fingerprint Records. I can't say anything about that label. Maybe they're big, maybe they're small, maybe they were Swedish, I don't know. Anyway, Axwitch, Lord of the Flies. Good fun. If you do like bands like Warlord, and you wanted to hear something not to that level of... Warlord's right up there, right? If Warlord was 95%, Axwitch is sort of the 70%. And yeah, it's good fun. I enjoyed it very much. Lord of the Flies, Axwitch. Now we're into thrash territory. This is the third album from Whiplash. This is Insult to Injury. Came out in 1989. It's the last album, really, for me, worth bothering with Whiplash. They might even still be going now. I heard some stuff after this and it was just, no thanks very much for coming. But this is a belter. The debut, Power and Pain, with that really terribly awesome hand-drawn kind of face being squished or whatever it is. That's one of my favourite examples of rough and ready thrash. It's completely furious, full of energy, crazy barked vocals. Insult to injury is not that. Different vocalist, he can actually sing. Has way more of a refined sound. Puts them on par with something like early Testament, Overkill, Onslaught, that kind of stuff. There's very little similar here between this album and the first one. You could easily tell me it's a different band, and I would not contradict you there. Having a different vocalist definitely makes that fairly obvious, but even riff-wise, it's so much more polished than the debut. Yeah, sounds like a different band. It's really, really good though. Really good bass guitar. It's not always playing along with the same, main guitar riffs. It's often its own little adventure as well. Nice little flourish that it adds. So yeah, it's just really, it's more like those other bands I described. It's more like a Missing Testament album or a Onslaught and Overkill mashup or something than it is anything to follow up the first Whiplash. So yeah, now I need the middle album, which is called Ticket to Mayhem, and I've not even actually heard that, but I presume it's somewhere between the two albums in professionalism and furiosity. So yeah, there's the guys looking very metal, except for this guy here. He's got a Batman shirt on. He looks like he's just showed up late. Like these guys, he's going, yep, metal. Metal. This guy's going here going, well, did you take the camera, take the photo yet? And this guy's like, yeah, man, Batman. Whiplash. Take a look inside. Get the lyrics. I like the little hand-drawn photos there. You can tell they weren't being that hugely serious. And there's a photo from something there, someone being pushed in a wheelchair and having a bad time. And a very long, hard-to-read thanks list. So I won't be reading it. And yeah, Road Racer Press. So yeah, very good album. I'm really happy with this. And as I said, I want to get the middle album to complete the 3 Whiplash that I actually want to have. Insult to Injury. Fun. Yeah, as I said, they're not taking themselves seriously. The guy in the wheelchair, broken leg, neck brace, behind a train. He's going to have a bad time. But you won't have a bad time if you listen to this album. Last record, and probably the best for last. Actually, it definitely is the best one left for last here. This is Forbidden, Twisted into Form. Amazing album. It's just absolutely sensational. It's always Forbidden for me, particularly those first 2 albums. They've always been seen as sort of that smart man's thrash, like Coroner. This is the 1990 follow-up to 88's Forbidden Evil. I've always liked Forbidden Evil, but it's not one that I go back to very often, and I had never actually heard Twisted into Form. Didn't make it like a strong point to go and check it out, because I thought, the first album was okay, it's fine, but I never went back and listened to it, so I didn't want to go any further with the band. This came up on Discogs, it was a good price, I jumped on it, and I'm so glad I did, because this is way better than the first album. First album's fine, this is stellar, this is top tier thrash. People have been actually telling me this for a while, and I have been not paying attention, I guess. It is up there with your Death Angel and your Dark Angel, and it's just top tier. Starts with a tasteful acoustic intro, then into a crushing opening riff. This song called Infinite. Is it written here? Yeah, Infinite. What the hell's going on here? I don't know what all that is. Infinitely weird. That's what that is. This is high quality thrash. It's got twin lead guitars that feed off each other throughout the entire album. Like, they obviously take turns at doing the riff, but because both guitarists are apparently lead guitars, you can tell that it's just so musical. The vocals, it's like half soaring and a half bitter Tom Araya-esque shouting from Russ Anderson. He's really good. There he is there with flames around him. He's a really good dynamic vocalist. I really like what he does on this. And, I mean, if that wasn't enough, the furiosity of Paul Bostaph current Slayer drummer behind the kit, so you know what you're getting there. This reminds me a lot of like Heathens, Victims of Deception. That's sort of the main thing I take away from this. A ton of Testament, of course, but really Forbidden was a style setting band, not a follower band. Awesome. Twisted into Form. I love it. I'm so glad I got it. You know, very nice. Black and white photo of the band, lyrics, and yeah, under One Flag UK press. So yeah, very, very happy to get this one. And it is, like I said, way better than the debut. Debut is good. People might be telling me off in the comments. I have no idea what's about to happen to me. But I think Twisted Into Form is easily their best album. If the first album was a 60%, then this is a 95. This is that good. Such a good thrash album. Twisted Into Form by Forbidden. And that's it. That's my update of 80s OG presses. Been putting the pile together for a little while here to have a nice video to talk to you guys about. Hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please like, subscribe, check out that thing and that thing, whatever they may be, and thanks for watching.